Man, YouTube, what's good? Let's talk about today's video because we are going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 255 because Sukuna is still biting every single sorcerer that's coming his way, and it is nuts. We begin this chapter where we left off at, where Miguel had rescued Ui Ui, but also we see another one of Gato's minions with him. This character is named Laron, and you will be forgiven for not remembering Laron back then. We get a flashback to when Yuta went back to Miguel's homeland and began to ask Miguel for help. Miguel, of course, refused, saying that fighting someone who can beat Gojo isn't on his bucket list of things to do. We also see that Laron is also there to help convince Miguel to go out there and die. Something that Miguel himself points out when he says that, do the Japanese think black people will survive anything? So I like why he said that, because Miguel knows the fiction rules, and that is the black guy must die. So that's why he's like, you got to count me out of this one. And LaRue asked to talk to Miguel alone, which Yuta obliges. LaRue and Miguel begin to talk about how they were loyal to Gato. This is also highlights that Miguel trained Yuta because Gojo had asked him to do after movie 0. This is also why Miguel doesn't want to fight Sukuna, because he doesn't do much without it being money involved. And when in movie 0, that's one of the things that he has said, that if he wasn't getting paid, he wouldn't be out there doing that. And because he trained Yuta and he helped Gato, he feels like he paid his dues in Japan, so now he just wants to leave the country. But LaRue talks to him about this and says that, you know, they all love Suguru Gato, and all their fallen comrades that he named off, all the ones that in Shibuya was killed, he named them off, and he says that they all love Gato, and the best way to honor all their fallen comrades is to give Sukuna the fight of his life. And Miguel's like, yeah, that's probably not about to heaven, because it's more like fighting Sukuna's like fighting hell. But Miguel only agrees under these 3 conditions, which is Sukuna cannot use his domain, and that he will join the fight if Satoru Gojo and Yuta are defeated in battle. And we know they both got smoked in this battle. So we head back to the present, where LaRue and Miguel discuss the injury Sukuna's had. Even though this has seemed hopeless, the heroes have slowly been taking away things from Sukuna, which is giving them some form of a fighting chance, but he's still been smoking them. The battle begins as Sukuna has sliced up the buildings, with LaRue using his curse technique to attack Sukuna. Sukuna gets slammed into the building, but he was able to cut LaRue even though he was using his curse technique. He says dismantle at Miguel, who is dodging every single slash like he is in Ultra Instinct, and attacks Sukuna with LaRue. This is where we learn what LaRue curse technique is called. Heart Catch. It can be used an infinite amount of times, even though it's an illusionary hand. And even if the hand is destroyed, he can still use it, but the damage done to the imaginary hand is giving 1/10 of the damage back to LaRue, so he still takes some form of damage. Sukuna isn't that interested in LaRue's curse technique. He thinks that Miguel technique is more interesting. That technique is called Hakuna Lana, and just to bring this up, Hakuna Lana means without curses. It is a Swahili word, And I actually find that, but the technique actually expels cursed energy and is using a beat that's etched in Miguel's body. But what it does is that it buffs up the user while debuffs the opponent, which is crazy. That's when we get a quick flashback where Gojo says that his curse technique isn't scary, but adding a buff with Miguel's physique is what makes it scary. Now, this is when it gets a little crazy because Miguel calls Gojo racist. It's said that he is unique because he is him. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit because he said he is, what the hell does that mean? I'm me. That's really what he said. I'm not special because I'm black. I'm special because I'm me. That's not even a real word. But what Gojo is really saying is that because there are not, sorcerers are 99% Japanese. So to have, a 1% of the population being non-Japanese is impressive. That's what makes Miguel unique. He just didn't like the fact that Gojo was using his race to attribute his curse technique, making him stronger. And also, when Yuta asks, what does the menacing apply to Gojo? And Gojo states that, if they were doing a fight with no curse techniques and all just enhancements, he practically said that Miguel can win the sprint, but he will lose the marathon, which means that the shorter the fight, the less likely he will win. But if the fight went on for too long, then Gojo himself was saying that he would win. And I think that's actually hilarious that he's saying that he could lose if it's just a short fight. And that's when we see Miguel, because we're back into the present, block Sukuna, punches. Then he turns around and punches Sukuna in his heart, which is already damaged. Then after he hits Sukuna with his fist, he turns around and gives him a people's elbow straight to the chest. That's when Choso tries to sneak up on Sukuna. And when he tries to sneak up on Sukuna already end up noticing him. So when he shoots his blood manipulation technique, Sukuna actually dodges it, comes around, hits Choso. Looked like he slashed Choso up again. And Yuji, who's now back into the fight, attacks Sukuna, and Sukuna can never stop making fun of Yuji. Talk about, oh, you're here again? You want some more? That's basically what he was saying. And we learned that for him to activate the world cutting dismantle, he must use the same sign. It's called Imaten. He must use that sign, which is like malevolent shrine, to use the world cutting dismantle. When he actually cut Satoru Gojo, he had to use a binding vow because he didn't have his left hand. So he had to place that binding vow on himself to be able to cut Satoru Gojo. Also, he also has to do chants. He has to do chants, the Imaten sign, and he has to guide the trajectory of the attack using his palm. So he has to guide the attack also. But as we see, Yuji is fighting Sukuna, punching him, doing what he needs to do to try to stop Sukuna, when Sukuna's left hand is cut off, which surprises both Yuji and Sukuna because Maki is now back into the fight. We see that she took his black flash. She took his black flash, and she has a crazed look on his face. And Sukuna's looking like, this woman took my black flash, and she's still ready to fight. Now, this is when, this gets crazy and funny because they always do this in Jujutsu Kaisen, where Yuji starts thinking that they can win now because he can't use his hand sign. His reverse curse technique isn't even functional. And he says, we can win this. We have done everything at this point, and now we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. Now, here's the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen. Whenever the heroes are doing something good, we know that something bad is about to happen, and it end up happening because Sukuna hits LaRue with another black flash. And it's stated that Satoru Gojo got his RCT restored after hitting 2 black flashes. But they said in the case of the King of Curses, they don't really tell us what ended up happening. For all we know, he could have easily got his domain expansion back, his reverse curse technique back, or he can use his world cutting dismantle using a binding vial. We don't know what was restored. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think that Sukuna got restored? I want to hear it. I do. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. Also, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, y'all.